Hi. Okay. All right. Let's just do it. Let me turn myself up a little bit. We just so many space problems here, and let's give me a bit more volume here because I'm so excited about today's guest, um, and I'm also excited to see you out here in the furthest reaches of space. We have the insect machine, DJ D42, and Rockstar Dan Gunther in the chat room. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Space Couch. It's great to see you. It's also great that we are once again sponsored by Tiger Squawk Records. You want to check out the brand new Crudmouth figure of Screech. Also, Club Ovator's back with Tanzlator. It's so good. The Gothicals release a cover of Prince. Melting Rust Opera has the updates single out. Three singles from Sega Lugosi. Full length from Melting Rust Opera, The Rise and Fall of Fleshwire. It's amazing. Varsity Gore. I think this might be my favorite Isserly album. I think it might be. And Isserly's Sad Girls Club Volume 5. And of course, the Gothicals Animal Songs. And you want to check out Putting the Stars Right, the charity compilation currently topping out Bandcamp. New tracks from, oh, I don't know, My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult, the Gothicals, Attrition. Uh, it's so dope. Um, Speaking of dope, uh, we love flying through space. But we also love landing on certain locations, asteroids, moons, but most importantly, we love planets. And there's no planet we love more than today's wonderful guest. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Damage of Planetdamage. What is up, buddy?
Hello, everyone, and thanks for having me in Space Splash on the Planet again. Things are pretty much okay, but
We
cosmically chilly and cold.
what is up to Dre in the chat room? Well, glad to hear it. You and I just got off a big podcast discussion, so we'll just keep the yakety yak momentum going.
That's right.
Yes, even though I didn't say anything, but that's okay. The we have this is exciting. You have a remix album coming out tomorrow.
Indeed. Revamped
Yeah.
Protocol, the remixes.
Okay. Where do we get that?
Oh my God. This is sort of a good slash weird moment, like pushing the stop button on it, saying that, okay, I'm finished. I'm
Mm.
completely okay with it. Now comes the promotion phase. Now I can send it to its birth slash life. So that's always a sort of an awkward moment when you release something. It's going to be released on Black Pill, Red Pill.
Okay. Great. That is
Um,
Carl's
Huge
label.
rock out to Zug. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to feature 8 tracks. 7 of them are remixes, and one of them is a full-length Planetdamage track.
Awesome.
And practically every single track is, I did say that these are remixes, but the track that I do have, Tensor, basically that was the intro track for the album. It's got this 1 minute long pad section, which sounded so great as an intro. So I said that, I'm going to just
Mm.
ditch the rest.
Okay.
And then listening back to it, I was like, yeah, this is actually a pretty good track. So what if I just release it on its own and,
Yeah.
it found its place?
Totally. Awesome. So we have bunch of
And
remixes going.
we do have a lot of remixes, and I do have to say that the Gothicals
Oh,
are on it.
we're on
Thank,
it.
Thankfully, yeah, yeah, yeah. But there are. I have to say that I'm very much happy about this compilation of remixes, and the art is there. There's Ether Pilot there. There's Bangdanon, there's Mac Fox of Swear Machine, um, there's and this is the moment when I have to drink coffee. There's Vandalaze, there's
Mm.
Freeze Edge.
Freeze Edge,
Uh,
friend of
yeah.
the show.
Freeze Edge is
W-
there as well,
Well, let's take a
thankfully.
listen. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
And Chrome Corpse is there.
Yeah, hell
So
yeah, Chrome
these are
Corpse is
the
there.
yeah.
Let's take a listen to those two actually here on us. And yeah, so that was some stuff. What's up to friend of the show, Ray, in the chat room? Yeah, those are just a smattering of what you might be able to pick up on the remixes out now at look for that at planetdamage.bandcamp.com. Yeah,
That's right,
cool.
and it's going to go live in 3 hours from now.
3 hours you can get that. What's up to Adam Bomb in the chat room? What's up, man?
Hey,
The
hey.
long time no see. The uh, there's this moment, and I don't know how to translate this into other disciplines. Like, you know, a lot of times you can make an analogy to like visual art or something
Mhm.
mechanical, but I think where I'm going with this is it's I think a unique electronic music thing. You get to live the moment of when you hear a remix of your stuff for the first time. That's just the coolest thing in the world to me. Um, so, if you could describe what that moment was like for you for some of these tracks, or where these tracks might take you, because it's your work in someone else's hands. You can't help but kind of go on this journey.
It's one of the most amazing things, and yeah, I'm trying to find analogies here, but
Mm.
can't really find it anywhere else.
Yeah.
There was this one interesting thing about this whole remix EP/album idea is that the whole album Relapse Protocol, which was released last November, also on Black Pill, Red Pill. I sort of called it a concept material. It was more like a mixtape, but it was very much future related, and I was really curious about how that sort of, how other people interpret cyberpunk
Hmm.
in their own language,
Right. It's a big
and
concept.
it's a pretty big concept and everyone has their own ideas about it. Like, some people still believe that's the thing that we imagined it back in the 1980s, how it would
Right.
look
I
like,
mean,
big wink at Cyberpunk 2077.
well, and then it's bled over into real life with the whole vaccine 5G shit.
Oh shit, yeah, definitely. And there was this later on, there were these movies and books about all the hyper sterile lab environment, horror science
Hmm.
fictions and things like that. So how gritty is cyberpunk now, and how clean is it,
Hmm.
and is it practical, is it just theoretical, how about it?
Right.
And Ether Pilot, for example, Ether Pilot is one of Claude, from originally from HatScan.
Oh no
And
shit. Okay.
yeah. And he actually turned it into something more sterile, and it's just got an awesome vibe. I was really interested in how he's going to work with this track. Like, whenever I did manage to talk to someone about creating a remix, I always told them that, okay, pick your track. I really want
Hmm.
that track to resonate
Okay.
with you.
Because some people
And
love the assignment, but like, yeah, if you somebody buys in a little bit with the song selection, like yeah, you're picking that because you already hear it in your head a little bit, maybe what it's going to sound like. That's a really slick thing, man.
And I do have my like I made those songs, so I obviously do have some baggage with them, and I
Right,
would say that
right.
okay, Regret Gunner is probably going to be the one which is the most technoid,
Hmm.
or Color Deadline Rand is going to be the one that's as political as it could get. So probably that would deserve a more like a rock kind of a coverage
Okay.
than anything else. And then comes Ether Pilot, and they turn it into a full-blown electro track,
Right.
which is just every sound is in its right place. I loved it, and I was like, oh my god! So is this our future?
Hmm.
Suddenly, this is the kind of future I'm not sure I would like to live in. Although I made that track, so that really gets under your skin. I really much love that.
Cool.
And whenever it comes to gritty cyberpunk, spank the nouns interpretation, I really loved it.
Mm.
It was just really slick. I heard, and that was an interesting moment. Hi, Eric, because I did hear the works in progress,
Mm.
and there was a big difference at the very end, like
Oh yeah.
where it, like what was the journey behind it, and I just absolutely loved where it took you. Chrome Corpse. Um, as tactical combat electronic body music as it could get,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, and it was finished in something like 4 hours
Really?
or 5 hours. Probably I'm saying a bit, a
We'll split the
shorter amount
difference
of
and still
time,
be impressed.
but within 24 hours.
Right.
It was within 24 hours, and I was like, how did this happen? And the reply was just, I had the perfect flow.
Okay. Yeah.
It was like, okay, I know that. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So
That's
that's
such a
just
good
fine.
feeling.
Um, Freeze Edge, there are those sort of tracks that you listen to whenever it's 3 a.m. and you're sitting in your car and driving,
Hmm.
and there is this body of water to the left where you're just looking out and you're like, yeah, this is summer now.
Oh,
And
oh,
and
that was
and
so
there's
good.
that level of freedom. And Freeze Edge's remix did just that. And
Cool.
that's a very rare feeling whenever a track can transform you into that. And I was like, shit, this is rare. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah,
um
when the light hits the water just right and it
yeah,
doesn't look real. Like, yeah. That's feels good. Feels good.
yeah, definitely. And Vandalize, for example, I love Vandalize's work, because he's always looking for the next thing in music, and he's doing it from the way where he's sitting well rooted in the 1980s Max Headroom slash 80s cyberpunk anime convention, and he's like, okay, so these are my roots and I want to go really far from here, but still people could feel that I'm coming from there. um, and uh, and he's been sort of out of remixing for a couple of years, and now this is his comeback.
Oh, cool.
And I just adored what he did with it. um and yeah, the Gothicals remix, I loved it because that was just so much out of the blue. i
Yeah, that's
was
how I
i
do.
wasn't really expecting that this is going to be turned into something like that, like a proper banger, dance floor banger. And there you go.
It's how we
So
do.
I've and Mac Fox from
Yeah,
Swear
yeah.
Machine. um um his remix was the strangest to me, in the sense that he really did this cut up
Mm.
technique there, and with rearranging. um I'm listening to it and I'm like, okay, this broke my expectation once again. Where is this coming from? I
Mm.
know this song, this is mine, but like, how the hell did you
Yeah.
cut that up in that way? So it always keeps you on your toes. It kept me on my
Mm.
toes. And whenever I'm asking people, okay, what were your favorite remixes from this EP? Um, a lot of times his comes up as well, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times everybody else comes up. But it's really interesting that people always talk about these remixes, like, what are your favorite ones in groups of three.
Mm,
It's always three remixes that everybody picks and says, okay, this is fucking awesome. These
right.
three, these are just amazing.
Cool. Yeah. Well, especially when you sort of disperse it among people, you're gonna get a range. Um, it's I always find it not stressful, but like I hope this works because I'm gonna send this out to 20 people and I don't know what's coming back. And I mean it's been great every time so far, but you get this range. So saying like I like these three remixes kind of covers the ambient bass and like the IDM bass and maybe the I don't know techno bass, but it's pretty cool. I'm speaking as a consumer because you allowed me to take a listen to
Of
the
course.
disc beforehand. But yeah, we will definitely be checking that out from uh, Tiger Squawk, sister label something, Black Pill, Red Pill, and at planetdamage.bandcamp.com.
That's right.
Always happy to plug anything on black pill, red pill. This. Do you want to pull the curtain back on the veil of vistas of
No, please
insanities or
do.
anything? All right.
Please do.
Well, we're gonna do this live on Planet Damage, and Damage and I have been working really hard on getting pregnant, and we finally did it. Or I guess it's still gestating to carry this weird metaphor. But no, we've been working on. I think it was proposed in the last time you were on couch
Oh,
that
yes.
we work on a track. So we've been doing this track. Kind of grew into a side project, which happens sometimes. They grow up so fast, don't they? Damage. Um,
They do.
it feels like we were just taking him to like his first play, or
Oh,
or
yeah.
or you know high school prom. But now this is a correct me if I'm wrong on this, but it was like a song concept that kind of grew into a song, and the band, if that's the right word to use, is also called the same name as the song and the concept. Uh, it's all. Hey, Endiv's here. This is what we've been working on. It's not done. It's not done. I got to write verse 2 and record it, but this is Sanity Checks by Sanity Checks. It's about sanity checks.
Broken to dimension at the coming of nightfall. Seeing strange symbols scratched into the drywall. I can slowly feel my mind start to mad and just read something that I wish I had. Insanity checks. Sanity checks. Cursed by the worst subdimensional hacks. Sanity checks.
So that's where we're at with our song Sanity
Sanity
Checks.
checks.
It's a
Yeah.
nominally about Call of Cthulhu role playing and moments when you make sanity checks or the sanity checks, the actual physical act of it. We're still hashing it out. Right now, it kind of follows the plot of Mansions of Madness, but you don't know what we're gonna do.
Oh,
Um,
definitely. But that's an open playground.
it's an open
This is
playground. We
one of the
don't
beauties of it.
know, and we were doing this a little bit before the show, but um, we're not quite sure where we're going with it yet. I love the sound because it started out atmospheric, and then I think both of our proclivities kicked in. We're just like
Oh,
two
yeah.
four two, fuck it, or whatever. Um,
Yeah,
Because
it
it.
was sort of a hard thing working with it because, as much as I remember, you sent me an idea and you were like, okay, so this is one thing that I did.
Hmm.
So what do you think about it?
Right.
And I was like, okay, so this is usually not the chord structure that I work with. This is not usually the basslines, the
Hmm.
kind of basslines that I work with. So how can I make it into something that still doesn't lose the Brian touch? But it's going to include my part equally.
Hmm.
And there was two or three different versions before you heard your first,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Okay.
version
Right.
of
Right.
where it's at.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, I think I'm not sure if it's gonna be a narrative, like we just take you on the second part of the adventure in the second track or something like that, or we sort of jump Lovecraftian mythos, like here's the Sithagua track or whatever, but or just kind of meander through the world of Lovecraftiana or something like that.
I think the second one could work really well because how do people usually work with Cthulhu and the
Hmm.
Lovecraftian mythos? Like, ever since it's become sort of a creatively usable in terms of
Hmm.
copyright, everybody's done everything with it.
Right.
But doing the tongue-in-cheek
Hmm.
kind of way, but smartly, that
Hmm.
would be that could be a good idea.
Yeah.
Doing a too funny version of it, it's been done before.
It's been, yeah, like very much so, but like yeah, that's fascinating. That's kind of what I did with a lot of Gasoline, where it's like there's, if I will be so bold, a cleverness to it, but it's, and I'm not going full rage, but it's not
Mhm.
comedy. That'd be like that line is very interesting to me. It's a lot of what I do with the Gothicals sometimes, but cool. All right, well we'll get this track out on Tiger Squawk Records. And
Yoo-hoo!
so, welcome. This is your signing party, by the way. Welcome to Tiger Squawk. Uh,
Oh, thank you.
the and we'll just hash it out from there. So you heard it here first on Space Couch. Sanity checks coming soon. Um, a question from the Patreon. Uh, the Brandon Pence wanted to know how you would pronounce a certain word. You
Oh
have
my God.
before you. No wrong answer. How would you say that?
Okay, so is this the question where I'm supposed to say something like, stupid,
No, I
literally,
don't
or
know, man. Like he
okay,
just wanted to know how
okay.
you'd say this word.
Based on what I can see here, I would probably call it Worcestershire.
Worcestershire. Okay, because some people say that it's like it's a sauce, it's a city, and
Yeah, yeah,
it's,
yeah.
you could say
It's a sauce.
Worcestershire or Worcestershire. Like,
The
but
funny
that was
thing,
our
I
first
heard it.
question available through Patreon, and I just wanted to say we'll do whatever you want. Patreon.com/Gothicals. Um, so we have Planet Damage releasing this awesome remix disc. Um, to say nothing of the wonderful original songs we talked about last time you were on Relapse Protocol, also available now at planetdamage.bandcamp.com. You'll be releasing this. If you were to come out with a line of like Planet Damage scented candles, what would those look like or smell like, or what would they be called?
Okay, so coffee would probably be there.
Okay, you probably do a coffee
Um,
candle.
yeah, 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 coffee definitely.
Fuck
And
yeah, dude.
then there's the smell of leaves burning in autumn. Probably that would be the second,
Oh,
and
that, yeah,
then
that's
burnt.
very very Planet
Yeah, yeah,
Damage.
yeah, and burnt motherboards,
Oh,
burnt circuitry.
oh, that's so good.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh man, I would camp out in front of Bed Bath and Beyond to get some of those burnt motherboard Planet Damage candles. That's,
I don't know about the colors though. Probably between black and silver
yeah,
ish.
you got to do it. And
Yeah.
you could, put like just little melted, wax transistors in there
At
or
that
something
point, I
like
could
that.
put anything on there,
You can
and
do
it would.
whatever you want.
Yeah, it would still be good.
I mean, it's burned motherboard. You're gonna get some industrial waste and carbon in there. Like just, we're not too discerning, but it
Yeah,
smells
let's
exactly like you would
call it
want to
weird,
burn
like
mother. I
chrome
mean,
ass.
we'd recommend it when you listen to any and all Planet Damage tracks to enhance the Planet Damage experience. I mean,
Oh,
it's a
that
planet
sounds.
of damage. It's encompassing. We want that sensory experience.
I have to say though that you have to have incense as well. Like probably I don't know how you actually manufacture incense. It probably burnt circuitry smelling incense is technically not as viable as
Okay.
candles would be. Okay, I'm just
We can diversify. Like after we, go gangbusters with the candle money, we get into incense. Aaron's here. He says Planet Damage candles, the anti candle. Dre says I had a bunch of gear get fried. I wouldn't want to smell that ever again. Hard nope. Yeah, but we through
NT
pain through
candle.
gain.
Like, okay, is there a pun there like NT candle, like Windows NT candle?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
We can put it
sorry
with.
about that.
I don't know. I don't know what anti candle is. We'll come up with it. You'll peer into the void. You'll see so far your pineal gland will explode. You'll have to make a sanity check.
That's what I
Bam.
wanted to say. Like, this is a Sanity Jack song in itself.
Yeah, it's about a guy whose mind explodes from the wonderful scent of certain candles. What is happening? But as long as we're writing songs about going crazy, we might as well make the premise insane. Um,
Works well with me.
Fantastic. Does anything not work well with you by way of? Do people have any misconceptions about planet damage or weird ideas you would ever want to correct?
Probably people do have weird ideas about me all the time. So
Mm.
I don't know. I don't ask them. They run away when I approach. So probably there's something. By the way, there's I think there's one misconception that people do think about me is that I basically live on coffee.
Mm.
And although it might have been true, there was this one guy on the previous, the MTV TV um, cast / stream that I didn't talk about. He's my videographer. He's the guy I'm doing my music videos
Oh,
with.
awesome, awesome.
And his name is Riyad Bashansi. He's one of the most amazing and talented and creative guys I know.
You have
And
great music videos.
thank you so much. And his name as well. And that dude, he lives on coffee. I
Okay.
don't. I drink 3 a day, and that's enough for me. He's I don't know. He's drinking coffee as if it was water, and
Yeah.
he's still alive and doing well. Thank you. So I don't know how he does it, but there's a
Well,
misconception revealed, and
okay. Well done. I do live on coffee. It's I got cut off by a barista in Seattle. I drink so much coffee, but that's uh, that's okay.
but but then again, in America, as much as I know, and I might have the wrong ideas, but I do believe that in America people drink watered up
Oh yeah.
or coffees that
Could
are
be.
not that strong enough compared to, like, I don't know, the Italian espresso
Oh
standards.
yeah. I mean, it's not an espresso, and I mean, is you're of course in Hungary. What's the coffee scene like there?
The coffee scene is good, and if you take obviously there's Starbucks, and
Mm-hmm.
there are these franchise based cafeterias where you drink the international standards
Mm-hmm.
in terms of what's the ratio between milk and foam and coffee. But then again, there's a lot of what's the proper English word for it? I know, specialty coffee, I
Yeah, hell
think.
yeah, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
Your
yeah. Okay.
English is so good. I forget that you're not from here for a second, but yeah.
Thank you. So there are a lot of different specialty coffee places where you can go to, and oh my God, those just tear your fucking heart out.
Awesome. Well, I'm going. Let's do it. Like I need some.
Do definitely.
Hell
Whenever
yeah.
you're here, that's going to be a trip.
Oh,
I
we'll
can
go
tell
on.
you that
We'll
much.
go on a coffee tour. Hell, that sounds wonderful. Coffee and delirium, delirium and coffee and delirium. Says DJ D42. Surge killed my mixer 2 days before Twitch gig. Coffee equals squawk fuel, says Adam Bomb. Loving coffee and
When
living in the Northeast go hand in hand. Land of Duncan, says Ray. I agree. Deftly is here. What's up, man? Coffee in Paris was memorably amazing compared to what I'm used to in New England outside of Thai or Vietnamese iced coffees.
mm,
So much coffee in the world. What has Planet Damage been listening to lately? Could be
Apart
anything.
from the remixes,
Mm, yeah.
obviously, and apart from sanity checks that's going to appear on Tiger Squawk
Tiger Squawk
Records
Records.
in the foreseeable future, um, it's sort of going to be a cheesy thing, but I went back to very old school frontline assembly,
Oh,
like
nice, man.
Nerve War frontline assembly, like their very first
Okay. Oh,
demo,
yeah.
which is pre Total Terror, and oh my god,
It. I
it's
hate to say they're like be one of those their old shit is better guys because I really did like the last two albums. I thought they were wonderful, but like
uh,
man, Caustic Grip, like where he sings, "Oh, great leaders, leaders," like it is like, oh, it's so good. Sorry,
this
I
yeah,
talk.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
I just got excited.
I totally agree with you 100 and a billion percent. But yeah, I mean, most of the frontline assembly stuff I like very much, but then again, there's a very different visions about the future.
Mm,
And Nerve War and Total Terror were about this is really grimy,
yeah.
and that sort of vibe I really miss a lot. Like
Mm,
I've been listening to a lot of early Skinny Puppy as well.
okay.
Very great, and like in from the European scene, there's Rain, Rein. I don't
Sure.
know if you've heard about her.
Yeah. No, we're
Rain
playing. We
Rain
were
stuff
supposed to
is
play with them.
amazing. She's amazing. Like that's a really
Okay.
powered up concept album that she did right there.
I'll
And in
check
terms
that
of
out.
video, what she does, that's just amazing. Um, Also, Barhari released her new EP, New Dark Day, I think a week ago or 2 weeks ago. That was brilliant as well. I really liked it. And I've been actually there's this new project that I'm doing research for. Um, there was this book I wrote a couple of years ago, almost like 10 years ago, about future research and trend analysis and stuff like that. Unfortunately, it was Hungarian only, so
Mm-hmm.
um, and now I'm researching it because I want to write a sequel to it, which has a lot to do with cyberpunk. And now I'm researching all the connections between the industrial scene and cyberpunk and all that
Well,
stuff.
I didn't know you were a published author, but like, okay, you're busting out a
Yeah,
book. So
yeah. That was a
this is a
long time ago.
nonfiction thing. It sounds like you're working
This
on.
is definitely a nonfiction
Okay.
thing. Okay, now I'm just going to finish what I said,
Sorry,
and
I
I'm
got
going to
excited. I
refer
got it.
back to the book. Yeah. Okay, so I was researching about different kinds of really peculiar kinds of cyberpunk music and fiction, like in terms of like cinema culture. The Japanese and the French cyberpunk movies are really interesting in themselves, as a
Mm-hmm.
group or a unit to research. And I was checking out a lot of different Japanese cyberpunk music.
Mm.
And oh my God, there's some really interesting stuff out there.
Oh yeah.
Utaroza. Oh, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but Utaro is definitely there. Utaro triple Z triple A is probably the most American slash English way to pronounce his name.
Okay.
He's brilliant, and now he's got a new side project, UG202X. If you're interested in digital hardcore mixed with glitch, mixed with punk, that's him.
Hell
You have
yeah.
to you have to listen to his stuff. He's amazing.
That's
And
awesome.
and Bale, Baal or
Yeah.
Baal.
Yeah.
Carl toured with them as much as I know, so they're brilliant guys. And weird thing is that Kevin Key has a lot to do with from Skinny Puppy has a lot to do with Japanese cyberpunk. As much as I know, he's sort of either living there or he spends a lot of his time
Well, Dre
there.
is in the chat room today. Is a personal friend of Kevin Key. Uh,
Oh, okay. So if he could help us out with that peculiar piece of information,
Dre
that
says
would be lovely.
Kev put out a comp with him and a few other bands. I'm assuming that's Ball or no Utero. Yes, Dre says Utero rules. Kev put out a comp, and I think he's in LA physically right now, but maybe spends a lot of time in Japan. That's. Do you know a lot about? I'm sorry to get off track, but like from like guy growing up in uh, the Midwest of the U.S. In the industrial scene, Japan, for all the robots and anime and cyber imagery that came out of it, or at least that got to me at that time, it was always such a locked box for industrial music. Like you'd think it would be just a hotbed, but and every now and then there's like an oral vampire or something like that. But like I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
don't. It's just not EBM or whatever as we know it is not a huge thing, or is it in Japan?
It's not, or I mean, there's a so connecting to Japan is pretty hard because of the language barrier.
Mm-hmm.
And us figuring out details about the Japanese underground, it's sort of hard because we get the cream of the
Right.
crop, like the top 5% of Japanese underground.
Mm.
And although 95%, which I believe has a lot of different ideas and talented musicians there, we just don't hear about them because
Mm-hmm.
they're so underground.
Right.
So I don't know if EBM is prevalent there, but DRP is one EBM band that everybody
Yeah.
talks about. That DRP is definitely there.
Yeah.
Um, and there are a lot of different musicians who do their side project, like Soft Ballet
Mm-hmm.
is probably the band that you could compare to Depeche Mode or
Okay.
slash synth
Never heard
pop
of them.
bands,
Depeche Mode.
but their journey through genres could remind you of Depeche Mode pretty much,
Cool.
and how their sound evolved. So they're pretty interesting
Check
to
those
to
out.
listen to. Yeah. And a lot of them do bring in guitars, and a lot of them do bring in punk and a lot of different stuff, which is really good. You're going to hear on compilations.
Mm.
And
Cool.
these are just one track and two track bands. And you'll
Okay.
be like, oh my God, give us a fucking album.
I
But that's not
thank you
happening.
for allowing me to do that learning. It's just it's always something I've been curious about, never quite been able to crack. Um,
And
if
there's sorry, just one thing
go
to
ahead,
add,
man.
that
Yeah,
there's a
just chilling.
subconscious communication, which is Kevin's label.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some very talented musicians there who do have certain elements of the Skinny Puppy vibe or
Mm-hmm.
music, like DJ Otto, for example. DJ Oto, you start listening to his tracks, and like Island of Skulls, for example, his latest one, and you're
Mm-hmm.
like, that's pretty much like download in those
Okay.
4 seconds. There's a chorus which is almost as
Right.
something that I hear in download tracks, and then it's completely else. And
Right.
then
Yeah.
they just he meanders
J-pop
back, and
comes in and
yeah.
rising
So
like
so
shining sword holding on a top of a mountain chorus. But
definitely. So
uh,
there's a whole bunch of different stuff to listen to, and this is mostly the stuff that I've been listening to.
cool. Dre says Kev lives in LA but visits Japan often.
Mm,
And Metropolis put that out. Angel Spit is here. He says, "Ball, yes, ballerize, love the
hello.
flies." Let's let's take it back to you for a second. Um, I have given you the power, uh, sort of like that Van Damme movie Time Cop, where you can like you can go back in time,
Oh my
um,
God.
but you can specifically choose to have made the soundtrack for one movie. Like, what movie would you have liked to have made the soundtrack for?
This is one of the hardest questions
Well, I mean,
because
top 20. Like, we won't fault you if you don't choose the one. You know what I mean?
um, Tatsuo probably.
Oh, good call. Good call.
Is it just adding a track, or the
No,
whole
it's like the
complete
we can do it that way because we're in space and we can do whatever we want. Um, Conceptually, I was thinking like if you could take out um, however great the music for a movie may be, if you could replace it all with like stuff you made, what would that do if you could rescore a movie?
um THX 1138? That would
Oh,
be one.
interesting. Just because, why? Why?
Um, Pretty much because most of the stuff that I start writing, it starts out with glitches
Hmm.
and some noisy elements, and it's pretty much like lab music.
Yeah. I can
and
always
and then it ends up into all the stuff that you can hear on Bandcamp. So I was like, okay, what if I just didn't want to make it over the top
interesting.
and just keep it as the first thing that comes out. That was really interesting. We had this conversation um, on Messenger, I think, the other
Hmm.
day when you said, "Don't overcomplicate it." And that actually was one of the best pieces of advice that I could get at that moment, because whenever I thought back
Hmm.
about the whole process that I'm doing with writing music, I was like, shit, yeah, that's probably a bit too much. What if I just
Yeah.
turn it back a few notches and it's still going to work out, but it's going
Y-
to be a lot more honest.
You're
So
talking
in terms of
about it just terms of
sanity
adding
checks,
just
yeah,
but
yeah.
like adding musical elements specifically or like what was complicating?
More elements, and also whenever it's not about creating music as
Yeah.
such, like what is the thing that I do have in my head or
Mm.
in my heart. But also whenever you write music, and that's an interesting kind of thing, and I might not be completely right about it, but I do have this feeling that whenever you're creating music, there's this level of filtering there, like who's going to listen to it. And whenever you get to the point where my fellow musicians will hear it, it's got to be technically super awesome.
Mhm.
But then again, I should sort of complicate it a bit so that all the people who are really listening to it in a
Mhm.
surgical manner,
Right.
they could appreciate it as well. And whenever you start thinking about your music like that, it's a very different kind of approach.
Fascinating. Cuz man, I did that. Like would put in these little like Easter eggs in the music, or like there's this quadruple level pun, and
Yeah,
I needed to, for me, like I just as an example, like even for sanity checks, just the one verse that I have, because this we're still writing the song,
yeah, yeah.
was I get in a flow state lyrically, and now we're talking about like a Call of Cthulhu adventure. I can't shut my fucking brain down. I'm writing, and it doesn't like so. Now it comes the challenge of being able to deliver this verse in like 16th notes, or like and let's say I got all those words out and I made it rhyme on paper. No one can fucking understand what I'm saying, and uh, and no one's gonna take the time to like read it if it's just some guy screaming. So I had to like figure out where that balance between you get something if you listen a little harder, but you can understand what's going on just with your human faculties.
But then again, this is a Cthulhu ritual, so they don't have to understand what you're saying.
Oh my god, we're
And
geniuses!
as long as they
Yeah,
understand these
levels,
names you cannot pronounce.
levels. You're watching in real time us make a sanity check. Um,
We
so
both
good.
failed totally
No,
here,
oh
by the way.
yeah. Well, then we get
Yeah,
wonderful
double
television like this.
ones. Yeah, yeah.
And speaking of wonderful television, welcome to the Third Timers Club, man. This is you're
It's an honor. It's
you
an
are one
honor.
of our
Thank you.
favorite guests here on Space Couch. Uh, come back anytime. But it is a level. It is you're on the podium, man. Um,
It's a complete honor to be here.
well, you were in early. There was the concept of the show was novel at one time in a pre-corona universe, and now it's kind of the
Oh,
way we have to do it. But you were one of the first guys to be like, I think this could go somewhere, and now we're on episode 115 or something. Um, we just got into the process, so like, I'm a little bit curious if I'm Planet Damage, um, and I'm like, all right, cool, music time. What do I
huh?
turn on or open up first?
Okay, so this is tricky because I have to get technical, and from that point on, a lot of things start happening in my head. I do start Bitwig.
Okay.
I'm I'm using it as my main DAW, and that just helps me wonderfully with the process and with the flow. Also, I've got a Novation Launchpad, and these two are basically helping me with being able to lay out all the different things that I need to do. And I sort of do have a template to start out things with, bits on the mastering chain and a few VSTs on the separate tracks. So this is basically the first thing that I start out with.
Okay, cool,
That
cool.
was sort of a weird notion, a weird thing that I figured out, that I actually do have a Nexus
Mm-hmm.
VST in every single one of my tracks, and it sounds pretty cheesy, but
Okay.
then again, that's just a very good collection of presets. Horror, to just start laying
Ain't
down your
nothing wrong with the
ideas, and
preset.
you can just change it however you want to.
Cool, 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 cool. Bitwig. Yes, I don't know
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
too much
definitely.
about that. I'll
That
have
was
to
sort
check
of a
that.
weird thing, because whenever I had Renoise as my first DAW,
Oh, okay.
and yeah, which is a tracker kind of DAW, which is very hard to understand for a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
and people whom I showed it to, they were like, "Why do you make music in Excel, in a
Yeah,
spreadsheet
right.
program, dude? You're so totally nuts. Get an Ableton like a normal person does,
Right.
please." And I was like, so just because so many people said it, I'm not going to use Ableton
Okay.
just because. And then I heard that a lot of guys from the Ableton group or crew or team um, just went side, they went to do their own company, and then Bitwig happened,
Mm.
which was sort of an alternative version of Ableton. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'm interested in that. In terms of money, how expensive is that? Not that much. Okay, it sounds like a good idea. So how
Cool.
about I try this and figure out where it leads me? And I'm still with it. So that was a good one.
Awesome. Awesome. Uh, Aussie Rob, what's up? Adam from Freezetch is in the chat room. What's going on?
Oh,
To
hello, Adam.
Freezetch. We talked about your remix. It's great. Um,
Yeah, and it made Brian's heart warming up a
it,
little,
it
even in space.
yes. Well, the it was etched in my heart, but not in a frozen way. The uh, Do you have any? This is an interesting, not interesting. This is, I mean to say, uh, it's
Please
a
make it
question. It's
interesting.
a half-formed question about half-formed ideas. Meaning,
Okay.
do you have any ideas or kind of or concepts you're playing with in your head for where you might want to take Planet Damage next? We'll ask about upcoming releases in a second, but like just conceptually, like, do you kind of know what you might want to do in the future, or with a new project or sanity checks even?
Um, Actually, yeah, and it was sort of a good thing that we talked about THX
Mm-hmm.
and lab music and glitch music, because that is something I'm definitely thinking
Oh,
about.
cool, cool.
Yeah, 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 and I'm thinking about doing. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say a side project, but I would like to do experiments with glitch a
Mm,
whole lot more.
okay,
And
interesting.
yeah, there was one thing I didn't say to the previous question about listening to music. Atom TM, Lassiga Bandhouse was probably the project of Uwe Schmidt everybody knows.
Yeah,
And then Uwe went on and did, I don't know, he has something like 20 or 30 different side projects.
I
So
didn't
it's
know
sort
it's
of
that many.
hard to
Wow.
keep track of
Yeah.
everything. But Adam Hart and Adam TM are two of
Yes.
his side projects that I love the most. And with Glitch is just otherworldly what
Mm.
that guy can do. And whenever I'm listening to his tracks, like, how simple can it be, and with how simple samples, how much complexity can he lay out? Because he's a trained drummer, of course. There's an advantage of him there. But I'm really interested in how to do that and how to manage that. So I'm
That's
interested in doing something like
fascinating.
that. Um, so there's one thing, and live coding is also one thing that I want to experiment around with.
Put a pin in that. I just want to jump onto like glitch or
Yeah, yeah.
um, sort of more atmospheric stuff. Like, let me know how that process is because I've tried it and I'm terrible at it. Like, cause like I'll be listening to some sort of floaty space track and be like, all right, it sounds fun, but I'll try it out. How hard could it be? Just sort of fall asleep on a pad, and I couldn't do it. Like I kept on being like, all right, and beat kicking now. Like my industrial instincts just kept on taking over, and everything turned into a Nitzareb track, and
Yeah.
I couldn't step back. So do you have a?
It-
I think
ye-
it's a mind change, but I'm not sure.
so this is a tricky thing because whenever you say glitch, it's pretty much like cyberpunk. Everybody has a different
Mm,
opinion about it and different definition of it. Like, okay, so there's Adam TM or Adam Hart, for example, who create pop music,
mm-hmm.
but instead of all your 808s and 909s, he just uses different sort of crucially distorted glitches,
Mm-hmm.
for example. But then again, the characteristics of a kick drum still apply, the characteristics of a hi-hat or a snare still apply. So you can pretty much understand, even though it sounds different, that okay, this is a beat. I'm
Mm-hmm.
supposed to dance now.
Right.
And then again, there are the Japanese glitch creators like Ryoji Ikeda. He's my favorite. He creates beats in a way which is very similar to how when you hear a professional drummer create a good driving beat.
Mm.
And it just sounds on its own, but you're like, yeah, I can pretty much get into it. I love it, although it is just
Okay.
one instrument. And
So I
and
was way
Ryoji
off on
Ikeda,
what I was talking about. I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So whenever it comes to glitch, it's just very, very different. And then
Okay.
you will have your glitchy EBM, for example, when you say, I'm going to do some 16 notes here,
Yeah.
and there's going to be a lot of different levels of, I don't know, 12-bit distortions, and then it's going to sound pretty glitchy because you'll have those staccatos. But then again, when it comes to glitch, I'm thinking about something very, very different. Um, so I would start experimenting with polyrhythms, for example. That would be one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would just take a proper drum beat. I actually learned this technique from Zug,
Shout out
from
to
one of
Zug.
his tutorials. That he takes a drum beat, he chops it up to his elements and lays all the separate elements, like all the kicks, all the snares,
Mm-hmm.
all the hi-hats, to um, different channels. So he sees how they are laid out, and then he changes the samples.
Oh, okay.
And when that happens, you basically have the same beat,
Right.
but with different samples. And when you sort of cut it up that much, you're going to say, "Nah, that's not good enough. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
add my own feel to it or add my own vibe to it." And you start putting extra elements to it, and then that happens. And the blue glitch happens, which is an amazing free VST plugin. Sort of hard to use because it's still 32 bits, and sometimes it just freezes or
Yeah.
whatever else. But it can give you very good idea, and it's got a whole bunch of features about randomization. So even if you don't want to use it, but just want to add it to a channel and have ideas about where you should go
That's
to,
interesting. Yeah.
that's a brilliant thing to use.
That's
So
that's
these
that's
are just a
interesting.
few things that could help.
Totally awesome. Well, good information. You have. Uh, Speaking of all things electronic, of course, the new Planetdamage Remixes EP or album, whatever the nomenclature is, comes out. There is a new Planetdamage track on that. Um, and so, with the release of a new track, how do you determine if a song is done? Because these songs kind of live in our heads, right? And then it's not like you really bounce them off a full band for one such as us. Like, do you have a system, or is it all emotional?
It's going to sound pretty bad, but it really depends on the deadline.
Okay. No,
It,
I
it
mean
really it really depends on the
that's a
deadline.
perfect answer because that's a huge factor for a lot of what we do.
Yeah, it's pretty much like how much time do I have,
Mm-hmm.
and probably I'm going to send the final version uh, a couple, an hour or 2 hours before it,
Mm-hmm.
because there's always so many different things to do. I often think a track is finished, and I take it to a walk. Like I'm just copying it to my smartphone, put in the headphones, and I walk for an hour, or
Mm-hmm.
bike around or something. And whenever I come back, I usually have a lot of different ideas
Right.
about what to do and what to add and what's missing and how to tweak it all. So there's a reason why they call it a release of a track, because
Mm.
that's the final moment when you
Yeah.
release it.
Well said. Yeah, it's only released until the last. It's physically impossible to not do so because other people have it. Yeah, it's. I mean, the old joke of the file named final underscore no really underscore fuck the world dot wave is
Did that, literally did that. Oh my god.
it's a real thing, but you know, deadline is sometimes what you need. I often
Oh, definitely.
well because it's part of it, right? Like it's time management is an is you know it's the VST you don't load up. Um, so
Yeah.
we are on a rogue flight path out here in space. We're gonna bring this flying couch back onto the station. Uh, Obviously, we want to check out Remixes coming out in just a few hours. At
2 hours. 2 hours. If you can
2 hours.
stay awake, it's going to be on
Let's get that
planetdamage.bandcamp.com.
to the top of Bandcamp at
Mm-mm.
planetdamage.bandcamp.com. Like my man Damage, the DMG himself says, what do you got coming up? What should we, I mean, remixes, and then are we just going to see where this wave takes us, or is there something else already in the clip? Pardon the pun.
Oh, so there's a whole bunch of different things. There's a sanity checks material that
Fuck
we are
yeah,
going to
sanity
release.
checks.
So that's really something I'm happy about working with it, because that's sort of a very different thing to what I do. So yay, that's exciting. Also, there are 3 remixes in the pipeline,
Oh,
or in the
all
pipe,
right.
that will be released pretty soon, hopefully. And there's sort of a side project that I would like
The
to work
guy's
on, more
on
and more like experiments.
fire.
These are the ideas, and we'll
Yeah.
see how much time I'll actually have.
Well, I.
Thank God I'm not playing the legendary edition of Mass Effect, because that would just
Oh,
sort of
yeah.
destroy 2 months of my life
I was happy we
permanently.
got a new Fires album. I thought you'd gone away with the new Mass Effect album, but it's real. It's real.
No,
Yeah. Uh,
no. There's a huge level of nostalgia there. Like Mass Effect 1, yay. Mass Effect 2, the absolute top of everything. Mass Effect 3, strong case of meh.
okay.
I wouldn't want to revisit it.
All right. Well, there you have the Mass Effect breakdown from a guy who knows all about outer space. It's Planet Damage here on Space Couch. This
But you
is
took me here, so you know more.
well, no, we got here together. You know, it's we checked the fuel, we checked the air, and very soon we'll be checking the sanity on Tiger Squawk Records. This this is Brian for Space Couch for Damage for Planet Damage saying, call the spaceships to Davenport, prepare for div anarchy, and interface with a couch in space. Couch out. Yeah, man. Another great episode.
Yoo-hoo! Yeah, totally. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
quite
That was
fun.
great.
I've been on the day-to-day talking to people from so what age we live in, and my last podcast of the day. hey,
So this
we
is
got
the
a new
moment
album
when you
coming up in
just
a few hours, so enjoy that release, and yeah, man, catch you around the internet. I mean, especially if we're
oh
doing
man,
wonderful electronic music.
thank you for having me. Really,
Hey,
so
no
means a
problem,
lot.
man. Hey, anytime. Catch you around, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Bye.